Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Welcome to another episode of Wisdom for Life. I am your host, Apostle Timmy Evans, and today we are going to be diving into the fascinating story of Joseph from the Bible, uncovering the valuable lessons we can apply to our lives today. You will have to take your personal time to go through the book of Genesis from chapter 30 down to chapter 50. Joseph, the beloved son of his father Jacob, was gifted with a coat of many colors, a symbol of his father's love. His story began with a dream, one that would change his life forever. Joseph was given the privilege of seeing his future through the two dreams that God gave to him. Joseph's journey was marked with a lot of trials and temptations and tribulations. He was sold into slavery by his jealous brothers, and he ended up in Egypt. Because you have to understand that the fact that God has a plan for your life does not mean that the devil is not going to try to mess up that plan that God has for you. But here is the first lesson from the life of Joseph: resilience. One topic that I love to speak about very extensively, but my time will not be able to permit me today to speak extensively on what resilience really means. Joseph was resilient in his journey. Despite his circumstances, despite the hatred from his 10 brothers, despite the emotional torture of being rejected first by his family. Now, so many people today who are walking this earth with a lot of pains in their life because they were rejected by their family. Some are suicidal. Some have given up on life because of the rejection from their immediate family. Some were rejected by their mom, by their dad. But Joseph did not allow any of these rejections or whatever obstacles he had faced to hinder him from becoming whatever it is that God has ordained his life to be. He was resilient. He was focused on the dreams that God gave to him. Joseph's ability to interpret dreams led him to a position of power in Pharaoh's court. He was a man of integrity. I was sharing something with some few people some weeks ago about the meaning of honor and integrity. When they put money and fame on one side, as a young man that is just coming up in life, you must choose integrity. Integrity will attract important people to you because people will be able to trust you with valuable ideas. They will trust you with valuable opportunities that will eventually bring you into the realm of prosperity. So Joseph had resilience, he had integrity, he was faced with the temptation of sleeping with his boss wife, Potiphar's wife, but he resisted the advances of Potiphar's wife, choosing to honor himself and honor God over the benefit that temptation could have brought to him. There are so many young people today that will follow the path of the temptation and succumb to that temptation and forfeit their destiny. Every road leads to a destination. Joseph could have become the most favored housekeeper in the house of Potiphar, and he may never be able to see the palace. But he chose to allow himself to go to prison for the sin he did not commit in order to gain the glory of God over his life. Joseph's life eventually took another unexpected turn. He was unjustly imprisoned. He was probably brutalized. He was faced with disappointment because when he interpreted dream for some people, they forgot him in that prison. But he was patient. Even in the darkest times, the darkest moment of his life, Joseph never lost hope in God. He continued to trust in the plans of God for his life. The reason why many of us lose out on God's blessing for us is we lose hope quickly in the plans of God for our life. Joseph's talent for dreams interpretation eventually brought him before Pharaoh, where he was able to predict a famine that was to come for 7 years. He was then appointed as a governor responsible for Egypt's food storage. He was also a humble person. He was humbled. He was full of humility. Joseph recognized that his gifts and his abilities and the opportunities presented to him came from God, not his own achievement. As the famine struck, Joseph's brothers came to Egypt in search of food. Joseph revealed his identity to them. He forgave them their past betrayal, and that is another lesson that we can learn from the life of Joseph. Forgiveness. Mind you, I always say forgiveness is not closing your eyes, because sometimes you can forgive people and they will still strike you again. So you need to be able to be very careful. In forgiving, you also have to open your eyes to make sure you don't leave yourself vulnerable to further attack. Joseph's story teaches us the power of letting go of grudges and seeking reconciliation with people. Joseph's family eventually settled in Egypt, and his wisdom saved them for a very long time. Providence is another lesson we can find in the life of Joseph, because he allowed his trials to teach him that his trials are part of a divine plan to bring salvation to his family and the entire nation of Egypt. That is why I always talk about having positive perspective to every event that happens in our life. We must learn to look beyond the pain. We must learn to look beyond the disappointment, learn to look beyond the rejection, learn to look beyond whatever negative things that happens to us and see God's blessing in everything. In conclusion, beloved, the story of Joseph reminds myself especially and you of these invaluable lessons. Number one, resilience, integrity, patience, humility, forgiveness, and providence. The principles can guide us through every life challenges we may find ourselves in and help us to become better individuals. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Wisdom for Life. And the wisdom I want you to take home today is that Joseph was focused on the goal. He was focused on the blessings of God for his life, and he was resilient to the end. I hope you found inspiration in the life of Joseph in this episode. Stay tuned for more stories and wisdom from the Bible and myself. Until next time, may you find strength and guidance in your journey of faith. In Jesus' mighty name. I love you.